Hi, this is Liquid War. It's a poem about Ukraine. It's very much a work in progress, and so I'm sure it will change before I get to the final version. One small note, the opening line, Wrath, Goddess Sing, is also the opening line of the Iliad. So linking what's happening to sort of one of the original wars as catalogued in Western civilization. So this is Liquid War. Wrath, goddess sing. This unprecedented time has a familiar ring. War born of human pride, humanity, step aside. One man's feelings of humiliation brings destruction to an entire nation. This anger we have seen before, firstly on that far-off Aegean shore, where power was the ancient law, and grief at loss swept all before, when the only means to end war was war. And when that failed, we called for more, till all we had was blood and gore. There's no wooden horse standing at the gate that this time will seal a people's fate. But that is how we must begin. You see, we let the enemy in. We welcomed him with open arms, no one sounding the alarms. When we became dependent on his oil, forgave crimes from which we should recoil, his anger met our greed. And for that sin, Ukraine must bleed. Was ever blessing such a curse, an oil tanker become a hearse, 30 pieces of silver in someone's purse, 7 decades of progress in reverse. The Tsar sits at one end, at the other, either enemy or friend, of a long table in a marbled hall, no other signs of life at all. Things are not as they appear, he can't let others get too near, sending a message loud and clear, not of power, but of fear. Less the truth he will hear. 2 million refugees have fled this war, and we will soon see 2 million more. And if each refugee sheds 1,000 tears, it won't be enough to drown the fears of one mother as she holds her child, the best she can hope to be exiled, to reach the border safe and sound, walk across, finally on foreign ground. And if those tears from people's eyes were the world crying from the skies, we'd see a veritable Noah's flood turning the soil into mud. Thinking he would possess the soil, instead he sees his tanks in endless toil, halted by the mud for which they did not prepare. Russian soldiers desert, facing despair, while we take a moment to give thanks for tractors towing Soviet tanks. Like Owen's beggars, each under a sack, invading troops yearn to turn back. Knowing they face only defeat or death, far from home, they will take their last breath. Meanwhile, the man who sent them there, many just kids without a care, sits still in his sterile cave, believing he is somehow brave, looks to China to help to save him from his self-dug grave. This is not a place where truth resides, but where a tyrant alone decides which lie today will serve him best, which demonstrator to arrest, demanding everyone yield to his request in his futile war against the West. Like all wars, blood takes center stage, the measure of this one man's rage, and another who was forced war to wage, standing firm against this vile rampage. This was his war of choice. The blood is that of those who have no voice. Children, the old, mothers to be. There's no safe place, no guarantee. The innocent huddle then in fright, not knowing if they will survive this night. For he who values other life so cheap, he has murdered sleep. And I imagine him in that bright hall, never leaving to sleep at all. Those lights always shine so bright. There's no off switch in sight, no shadow where someone might hide, no possible rest, always wide-eyed. And though this space no respite will allow, there's never a spot of sweat upon his brow. His adversary knows no such control. Saving his people is only goal, a messy, sweaty, complex task that history just had to ask of him who seemed so ill-prepared. Surely he would run away scared. This is what the tyrant and the world believed before he launched this war so ill-conceived. So, the puppeteer took on the pantomime, sure that he would win this time. But this man who won Dancing with the Stars wears with honor his battle scars, leading his foe on a macabre dance, knowing he already regrets he took the chance to invade Ukraine, now faces defeat. his pride not allowing him to retreat. All he can do is lay to waste, now known worldwide as a disgrace. Wanting his empire to increase, I'll create a desert and call it peace. And as the tyrant, angry at being exposed, not expecting to be opposed, shamed by the contrast of their humanity to his repeated cruel brutality, he doubles down without remorse, ever onward, not changing course. This leopard cannot change his spots, while the brave resistance ties his force in knots. He must die, that freedom might live. He's earned our pity, but we will never forgive.